Okay, the next, the next segment is very, very special to me. And before I bring our next speakers, can I just have a glass of water, please? I just need some water on stage. So, you know, when we were growing up, the entire romance used to be about men in uniform. You used to think of military men and you used to think, wow, they couldn't be, like just by virtue of being in uniform, they'd seem handsome and you know, commandeering and magnetic and all of that. But as I've grown older, I have to tell you that for me, what really gives me goosebumps and pride and honor, that sense of, you know, being Indian and feeling so proud of what women are able to accomplish, is when I see women in uniform. It's literally storming the final frontier. We are seeing women now doing things that 15 years ago you couldn't even speak about. And these barriers are breaking and falling down one by one. The NDA is now opening its doors to women. Remember the door on the stage? It's all about opening doors. No doors shut for women anymore. And it is my great honor to welcome on the stage two extraordinary officers of the Indian military, Colonel Anila Khatri and Major Abhilasha Barak. Let us put our hands together to welcome. Can we open the door for our two extraordinary officers? Thank you. Thank you. And that's a standing ovation. The first, ma'am, please come here. Can we hold that standing ovation? I want all our cameras to get it, because I want to tell you something. They didn't do this for anybody else. They didn't do this for anybody else. And I just want this moment to remain. The first standing ovation at We the Women today is for these wonderful, inspiring, spirited women in uniform, Colonel Anila and Major Abhilasha. It is so good to see you. And please, have a seat. Have a seat. You can just move in a little bit. Yeah. Just need some water, please. What water? Okay. So, you saw the response, and people are giving you a standing ovation even before we've started the conversation. And it's amazing. And I was just saying, you know, when I was younger, I used to think about men in uniform because we couldn't think of women in uniform at that time in the same way that we can today. And the closest I got to, you know, that exposure was being able to report on war. I reported from the front line in Kargil. But you are women at the front line. You're soldiers, you're aviators, you're breaking barriers, and it's extraordinary to see. So let me start with you, Lieutenant Colonel Anila, if I may. How tough has it been to get to this moment? And just grab a mic. Just grab a mic.
Very good afternoon to all of you, and to you.
Just hold it closer, yeah.
See, I have been, hearing your questions as to how tough it is for people, and now you're asking the same question as to how tough it is. I'll be very candid and honest. See, if you like something, if it's your passion, it can't be tough.
I agree.
That's it.
I agree. Would you feel the same way, Major Abhilasha?
I agree to Lieutenant Colonel Anila Khatri. It has been a dream. So you prepare yourself that way from the very beginning. And if it's your passion, like you sit in a room and you stare at a wall and you know when tears start coming down that this is something I want, you'll do everything. Everything that is possibly possible to achieve that goal of yours.
At what age, Major Abhilasha, did you know that this was your passion?
Like any other normal child, I wanted to do engineering, then, get a job.
It's not like any other normal child. I failed maths in class 8. I couldn't even think of engineering, but go ahead.
What the general trend has been. And in college, basically, when my father got retired in 2011, he was a retired colonel, and my brother had his passing out from IMA in 2013. I had it in the back of my mind, like I was not inspired, but I was trained. I was taught horse riding. I was taught how to do a 10-meter jump. I was taught how to climb a rope. It was from the childhood, but it never occurred to me. It was only when I left the cantonments, I left the people around me who used to be roaming around in uniform. It struck me that this is what I want. And there
Because you took it for granted because you'd grown up in it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So thereafter, my journey began and I started preparing for it.
And it was very different for you. You were the first person in your family to join the army. So how did you identify that passion?
It was similar, as you said, it was the men in uniform. The uniform was too charming. As in,
Too charming.
Absolutely.
I mean, just too charming.
I
It's
mean,
just...
there couldn't be
I
anything.
am so charmed by both of you that I can't speak only. Really. No, but go ahead.
Right. So, as she said, I had never thought of anything else.
How old were you when you looked at the uniform and you said, "Ye vardi mujhe pehnni hai"?
See, I would not really be able to tell you the age, but
Roughly,
then
roughly. What is your last
that is
memory,
all I
first
remember.
memory?
Probably I would be around 7th, 8th standard, and then it was, I wanted the uniform. It was army or police. But then when I got into the college, I had NCC. So there it was like, no, it's army. It's going to be army. So, and there was no other option that I gave myself, and God willing, it happened.
And what was the response of your family because she came from a military family, you did not. So what was the response of your family when you said, Anila, that you wanted to be part of the forces?
Again, I'll be very honest, my parents and my family, they've been very supportive. I didn't even realize that there was something amiss when I said that I wanted to join the army. They were like, all right, please go ahead. That's it. I mean, it was as cool and normal as it was.
You make it sound so simple.
No, it actually was. I never had my parents, or like my mothers, generally, mothers are like, kahan jayegi beti, udhar ghar se bahar jayegi. But even my mother was cool. She was like, theek hai, you want to join? I was like, yes. So she was like, go ahead.
And was it everything you had imagined it to be?
More than that.
Talk a little bit about that.
See, I had no idea as to what life in army would be because I had nobody to tell me that. I just knew that wearing the uniform is something, that will really give me high in my life. So when I joined, so I was like, what is army? As you covered, Lakshya was something that made us all join the army. So similarly, it was for me that, okay, this is what I'm going to do.
I wish I could have, but another life.
Yeah, another life maybe. So when I decided to join, I had little idea as to what would be in store for me, what would I be exactly doing. So while in the academy, we are made to fill the choice of arms. So we are told, okay, this is services, this is army AD, this is education. So army air defense was something to do with missiles and anti-aircraft guns. We were like, this is army. I want to be there. So luckily I got into the army air defense, and I think this was closest that we could get to action. We were like, we'll be firing missiles, we'll be training on guns.
Yeah.
So it's been amazing.
Amazing. And Major Abhilasha, your father, of course, you grew up as a daughter of a military veteran, of a hero in uniform. Was he encouraging of your wanting to join the military?
Always, not a single moment.
Yeah?
Since my elder brother joined, then all eyes came down to me.
Okay, so your brother's also in the army?
He is also in the army. He's
Wonderful.
serving near Leh.
Wow.
So, and I'm serving in the valley. So it is a very
So
exciting.
you're serving in Kashmir?
I'm serving ahead of Kashmir.
Okay.
For
So you're a front line, basically, you're at the
Yes.
front line. We can clap louder than that, can't we? You know, when the conversation first started, Major Abhilasha, about, ab to bahut kuch badal gaya hai. We have the NDA opening doors. We have people like yourself, soldiers like yourself, at the front line of conflict. We have, Colonel Anila, aviators as women, combat aviators. Everything is changing. My question is, you are still entering a space that numerically is dominated by men. Your Jawans are still all men. In corporate India, a lot of discussion happens about women bosses. Do men take instructions from women bosses? And initially, when there was a resistance to women coming to the forces, they say, "Arey nahi, bahut aadmi hai, aurat ki baat nahi sunenge." And now I know the army is built on discipline. It is built on the paltan. It is built on the regiment. But even so, if someone were to ask you, were you ever not taken seriously, either of you, because you were women, in an essentially male space, what would you say? Let's start with you, Colonel Anila.
I'm in the Army Air Defense, so I stay with my regiment, okay?
Right.
I don't move to places, I move with my regiment. So when I joined the regiment, I am the first lady officer, I'm the only one till now in the regiment. So that's...
these are real trailblazers, yeah.
So there are about 650 men who were in the regiment. So it becomes a family, I'll say. That we know those men and they know us in and out. So initially they gauge you. What are you made of?
Yeah. And what are they testing?
So, see, when they saw me as a woman coming first time, that was their first experience, and it was mine. They didn't even know how to address me.
Right.
All officers are addressed as Saab in the Indian Army. So, while I went there, somebody would call me ma'am, madam, mem saab. But somewhere in my mind, I was like, no, I am an officer. I am not teaching in a school to be called a ma'am. So I was firm that I would also be addressed as Saab. It's gender neutral in army.
Yeah.
Saab is not because you are a male. You are addressed as Saab because you are an officer.
Right.
So I think that set the tone. That did set the tone for my regiment. And I would not be able to recall any moment after that somebody would not obey the order because I'm a woman. See, you are not made to feel like a woman in the army, to be very specific. You are treated as an officer. What responsibility you are given is despite or irrespective of your gender. It would be because of the rank or the appointment you are holding. So that's pretty gender neutral.
Yeah.
So not that you will feel that he is not doing something because I'm a woman.
So the uniform is the great leveler in a way, and it's about who your boss is, who your senior officer is, who you're taking your command from. Is it that easy for you as well, Major Abhilasha?
I think we have evolved so much as a society. The generation has changed. With me having 4 years of service, I have never come across, any discrimination. They treat a man or a woman officer equally. It is your grit, your will, how you prove how worthy you are. That is all that matters to them. They never distinguish whether to take, an order from a woman officer or a man.
So share something personal about how being in the army has changed you. Because before you joined the army, one of you is from a military family, one of you is from a civilian background, but you don't fully know how your life is going to be consumed, and in a way all of your life is taken up. Other professions can have conversations like work-life balance for women, but that's conversation that cannot take place in the military, right? So there are things that are very unique to the military. So I just want to understand, have there ever been moments when, Colonel Anila, you've said, okay, I signed up for this and my life is not going to be like the life of other women?
See, this never struck me as to because I didn't draw comparisons with others.
Yeah.
But then my life was as it was of any other officer in the regiment. So it was pretty well going with the flow. And the only, landmarks I'll say in my life when I had to take a decision as a officer apart from the regiment was I had decided to undergo the para probation. I wanted to be a paratrooper. So from the air defense, it was going to the para air defense battery.
So you wanted to be a special forces officer, basically?
Yeah, I wanted to be a special forces. I wanted to wear the maroon beret.
And you are wearing the maroon beret. And that is really spectacular. I want to hear this hall resonate with our admiration for these officers.
So, different people, different experiences, they've enriched my life in the army or how I am today. I remember in the probation when I went there, I was like, I just wanted to be there, but that's a different world altogether, I'll say. But you learn so many things about life, not just army. You realize the difference between big things and small things in life.
Life and death.
Absolutely. You're like, okay, you didn't get killed, yeah. Small things. You are alive. That's the big thing.
Amazing. And what about you, Major Abhilasha? What about you? Like, did you have, at some point decide that, listen, there's a part of my life that a man would say this too, this is not particular to women. When you wear the uniform, there are certain things you leave behind. And as Colonel Anila is saying, that you don't get killed, that's what you focus on, that's a good day. Small things that seem very big to us would seem very small to you. So talk about that.
You miss out on the little things.
Yeah.
Like, I'm in the valley. I might not have seen even the seasonal fruits since like 6 months. These are the minutest of things. When I came back to Delhi this time, I see there's a new metro station which is coming up. I miss traveling by DTC buses. These are very small things. But what I'm doing in a bigger picture, every day we have to be battle ready 24/7. you know, there is a casualty evacuation, you have to be airborne within 5 minutes. So all these things, at the end of the day, you're saving someone's life, and that is what matters, and you are satisfied.
Yeah. And families, you know, I was interviewing General Tiny Dhillon, who has this book, Kitne Ghazi Aaye, Kitne Ghazi Gaye. And he told me this story. He said that there was twice in his life, both times he was in the Kashmir Valley, that he was declared dead. And one of those times, his wife, who was not a soldier, was 8 months pregnant. And he said that the families of soldiers are the bravest people on the planet. And what I want to ask you is that it's great that your families encouraged you, they supported you, but they must worry about you. And that's an emotion that you can't address when you're at the front line, when you're in, you know, combat situations, when you're a special forces officer. You have signed up for a life that is dangerous, that is fatally, potentially dangerous. How do you keep your families calm, or is that something you can't afford to think about? Colonel Anila.
Yeah, I think I would choose the latter.
Latter, yeah.
Exactly. I mean, you just can't, you know, pacify them, or, you know, you can't do anything about it rather. You can just
Yeah.
tell them that if it has to happen, it will happen, and there's nothing much we can do about it. But then, not that they make it too obvious to us. At least my family doesn't. I have a little daughter, she's 7. All that she asks
What's
me,
her name?
She's Aditi. So all that she is concerned is, when am I coming back home?
So who looks after her?
Okay, that's a good question. I have my family.
Family
with me.
support
Yeah,
system.
my mother or my mother-in-law, even sometimes my father has been around. Had it not been for them, it would have been absolutely difficult.
So I just want to underline what we've just heard, that Colonel Anila Khatri has a 7-year-old daughter, and she goes to the final frontier, as it were, being a proud soldier for this country, while her daughter is brought up by her family. And I think that is something extraordinary to applaud. Sorry, did you want to add something to that?
I would not say extraordinary,
I
because
think it's extraordinary. You all are too modest.
no, not modern, because I am guilt-ridden sometimes.
You are, of course.
Because I am, you know, like I was on the firing ranges now just before I came
know.
here.
I want to tell them a story. You know, we were trying to call her to the show. And every time one of my producers would call her, she would say, I'm in the firing range, I'll call you back. And I just did a post on LinkedIn. I said, I just love this message. I mean, that you can call a woman today and she'll say, I'm in the firing range, I'll just call you back. But completely, isn't it? But go ahead.
So, like, when I had to go for the ranges, so I had to leave my daughter with my husband and my mother-in-law. So
And your husband's a military person? No.
he is, yeah.
He
He's
is,
commanding a regiment right now. He's an armored officer.
Wow.
So I had to leave Aditi to him. And this is like the third transfer in 1 year for me. So it's the third school she is
Yeah.
changing. So
Yeah.
that is what I feel, you know, she's not living life of a normal child. A normal child would have one school, a set of friends. In 1 year, she's like, mera koi friend nahi mama is school mein. Then I'm like, okay, I mean, that's how she has to live her life. So these are some little things which make me feel guilt-ridden, because I'm living my passion. So this is the price that she is paying for me living my passion. So it does make one feel a bit guilt-ridden sometimes. But then at the end of it, I say, if I can't be a happy person, I can't have a happy family around. So for me to be happy, this passion has to stay alive within me. So I try to balance it out. Sometimes I am guilt-ridden. Sometimes I feel that it's all right. Things will take care.
Well, you know, I just want to tell you that that's a very human side to being a soldier. And I am sure even fathers in uniform go through that. Their kids move around. And I don't think women should carry the burden of guilt. You are an extraordinary officer, an extraordinary human being, an extraordinary woman, and that maroon beret, you're a special forces paratrooper, and we admire you. And I know that your daughter loves you and admires you. I don't know her, but she has to. What an amazing mother, what an amazing soldier, right? Major Abhilasha, how have you navigated some of the sacrifices that a soldier has to make, and that perhaps sometimes women in other professions, you know, what happens is, and we've heard some of those stories today, that sometimes women give up their careers. Why sometimes? Often for their children, for their husbands, because of pressure. And then later they have these unfulfilled dreams. We've had women on stage come up and talk about how then later in life they've tried to revive those dreams. Have you experienced something like that, or is it just smooth sailing for you?
Till now, it's been very smooth. Like, I knew I signed up for this, and nation and duty will always come first. and there's nothing I believe till now is not
Nation and duty
manageable.
will always come first. Amazing. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, please.
Everything else is manageable, I think.
Everything else is manageable. Okay, we have about 10 minutes with the officers, and of course we're going to honor them, and that will come in a moment from now. But I think we can take a few questions, and I can see some hands go up, and I want to encourage the young women, why even young? The older women also who have a question. I can see Radhika ji, who's in the front row. Radhika Rajiv Gaikwad is the Maharani of Baroda, and she's come here and she's listening to you. And ma'am, I'm going to get you a mic. Can we get her a mic? I'm sure you may want to say something, because you were talking earlier about, when we were talking to you about the tussle between modernity and tradition. And here is a completely different and inspiring image of tradition, and tradition being challenged rather. You can just come up I'll get the mic to you. Come. It's okay, I'm here. Yeah.
I think what I observe and marvel at and applaud you for is that there's such simplicity in thought. There's no overthinking or over-intellectualizing the hardship or the compromise you may have had to make to be in the position that you are, and there was just the zeal and the passion to do what you wanted to single-mindedly. So you have put yourself in this position single-mindedly with the focus of being where you are, and not think too much of the pros and cons, and that's where you are. That's how you are where we are today. And I think all of us somewhere pull ourselves back because we overthink what will happen about family, about society. And I think you are shining examples of, if there's passion and there's clarity of thought, what can be achieved by women.
Thank you for that.
Thank you so
Ma'am, but there's a very important question there, that sometimes if you think too much, atak jate ho. So you have to block out some thoughts, and I think if you're in life and death situations especially, you can't afford to think. You have to think of other things. Is that true?
I mean, you can't think of other things. There's just something that you're thinking about, and that's it. There's nothing that can distract you at that moment. So I think the training is such, where you made to realize that it's all here. So it's all mental. That's the famous, most favorite dialogue of our instructors also in academy. That is all mental. If you run that 40 km with that 20 kg, you have to run it. Just run it and get over it.
Just like that, huh? 40K with that 20 thing.
So as it is
so
said,
casual, you make it sound.
Because if you make it not sound casual, then that 20 kg will probably weigh 30 kgs.
Right.
But then if you like it just 20 kgs and I should just get over with it and get it off my back. So it's like, yeah, it's done. So it's all here. Man ke haare haar hai, man ke jeete jeet. So whatever you think, you will be able to, I think, get over with it.
Abhilasha, is it all in the mind?
It's all in the mind.
And so is it about conquering your mind even before it's about training your body? Is it really about that, Colonel?
It is. Your body might give in. I'll give you an example. I was instructor in the Officers Training Academy, wherein we were training the women and the gentlemen cadets. So, you see, women like us, 5 feet nothing, and so we also do the same thing. But then we know that there are some people who might just give in. But I'll tell you, in the run backs, these 40 kms that I'm talking about, there has never been a lady cadet who has backed out of that run. There have been gentlemen cadets.
Really?
Yeah. So it's all here. So when there are male officers who've not had an experience of serving with women and they come to the academy and then they realize, yeah, actually it's all the mental strength, I think, that's taking them along. And how come this little petite girl is carrying the same load and she's not giving in, wherein this 6 feet tall gentleman cadet, he just says, I can't do it. Because it's all here.
It's all in the mind.
Yeah.
And are there assumptions or stereotypes that you've had to battle, Major Abhilasha? Colonel Anila says it's been easy. In her own life as a parent, there are moments of anxiety. But as a soldier, other than that one conversation, ki aap mujhe bulaoge ka nahi, aap mujhe sahab bulaoge, it's been smooth. But for you, has it been as smooth, Major Abhilasha?
Stereotypes as in which?
In the sense that of fitting in a male-dominated work environment.
Like I said before, never. Because it is the duty and that's what gets you the respect. the duty and work you do. It is never a male or a woman officer.
So you don't ever think of your gender.
We are never made to. It's an officer. It's a aviator, a combat-ready aviator.
So would you hate being called a woman soldier? You think of yourself...
Yeah, soldier is a gender neutral word.
Soldier is a gender neutral word. I just feel so proud. I feel so proud that we are today in an India where we can say soldier is a gender neutral word. Okay, come on guys, make use of... yes, Ranjana, let's get you the mic. Here you go.
Thank you so much. It was amazing to hear both of you, and you have sort of encouraged so many women. And I'll tell you of one incident whom I know has been encouraged by women like you. I don't know if you're aware of Nikita Kaul Dhondial, whose husband died in the Pulwama attacks. She was in TCS, she left the corporate job and she joined the army to fulfill her husband's dream. It's for women like this that she said that who are in the army, I said I can do it, and she did it. So they are inspiring so many women. I just wanted to add.
Thank you for sharing that. Anybody else? I saw hands go up. Come. Come on stage where we can see you. It's easier to get the mic. Yes.
Good afternoon, ma'am. My name is Avni. So, as military personnel, you have seen death very closely. So, and still you are so calm. You have that calmness in your personality. So, how do you get that?
Yeah, everybody has to die one day, but that's all right. I mean, there's nothing great about it, but why die every day? We'll die one day. We'll see when it comes. But we can't die every day. We have to be alive every day.
So, ma'am, when you see death coming towards you, so don't you think about family, and that gets you in a panic mode?
See, how do you see death coming? I don't know. I really don't know how you see death coming. But closest I have seen somebody dying along with me was while it was on a...
Yeah, in that...
So that was unfortunate. But then it had to happen, it happened. Now you have to take care of his family, that we did. But should it, scare us down? No. It can't scare us down. We'll be doing injustice to that buddy of mine who has laid his life. So I don't think we have to really overthink, as you said, about death. That is something surely going to happen to each one of us. So how you live life, I think matters more.
Thank you, ma'am.
But there's a valid question about training your mind to be calm. Because if you get emotional, then of course it can cloud your judgment. And that's true for all professions, but it's especially true for the kind of frontline work that both of you do. Does that come from mental training? Is today a soldier's training as much, we've already spoken about mind over matter, but that sense of control, not so much calmness, but that control of remaining level-headed, how do you cultivate that? And I'll tell you why I'm asking. Because one of the assumptions जो औरतों के बारे में कहते हैं ना बड़े emotional है. All women are much more emotional than men. To be a soldier, whether you're a man or a woman, as you said, a soldier is a gender-neutral entity. You have to master, you have to be the master of your emotion. The emotion can't be the master of you. So talk a little bit about mastering emotion. It's not as a woman, but there's a stereotyping of women as the more emotional gender.
I think a soldier is very emotional. Emotion doesn't mean shedding tears. See, if you're not emotional about your passion or your organization, I don't think you'll be able to give you 100%. You to feel for it.
What about you, Major Abhilasha?
Operating in the valley, I see deaths every day. It is a active field area. So the people we are evacuating, sometimes gunshot wound, the valley, a snowflake turns into an avalanche any moment. So we are evacuating those kind of people. And there are counter-insurgency and counter-terrorism operations every day. And even flying, what I'm flying, Dhruv helicopter. So every day is a challenge. A helicopter is not meant to fly, whereas a fixed wing imitates a bird. So we are working against nature every time. And that is just your own grit and will that you overcome such emotional feelings.
I was listening to you and I was just lost for a moment because you said a snowflake can turn into an avalanche. And I think every day is a reminder of what the kind of risks that officers and jawans, all our soldiers take. I have time. You want to add to something? Yeah.
Not add, but there's so many young girls here and
Yes.
otherwise too. I just wanted to, tell them something that, whatever sessions we had before, I had, I was asking her, yeah, is life really so tough? Like, is there gender bias all around? So I was like, no. First of all, if you to be really happy in life, we must not carry this burden. You see men are happier than women. Why? Because they don't have this burden of proving themselves better or equal to somebody. They're at peace. They are human beings. They can make mistakes. We are also human beings. We can make mistakes. And that's just okay. And if we are doing something, we should do it because we like doing it. Not because I have to prove myself better than somebody or equal to somebody. I would do something because I like doing it. I really love doing it. I think that should be the only reason. Not proving yourself better than something or equal to somebody. Just be yourself, live your life, and break away from this shackle, this burden of, proving women, and this burden of representing every woman on earth. You are one human being, you are doing what you are doing. It should not be considered that if I do something, then, it will be generalized for all women. No, nobody is, the world is not that bad. It's a very peaceful place around. There are men who are, we are working with men. I don't find people generalizing. So why is it that everywhere it is like, no, this is happening, there's a gender bias. We are human beings. Can we make mistakes? Yes, we can make mistakes. But do we have to attribute it to gender bias? Not always. We must introspect and see we are human beings, we can also falter. So that's it. So live peacefully.
So finally, what would you like to say? She had a message for all the 18-year-olds here. What would you like to say to all the young women, Major Abhilasha?
I'd just like to say, if I can do it, so can you. सपना ऐसे देखो तो ऐसे देखो कि पूरा हो तो ख्वाब लगे. Make it a miracle. Fate is not a matter of chances. It is a matter of choices. Go out, grab the opportunities, and once you have that opportunity, make the most of it. Work as hard as possible.
Well, it's been incredible listening to you. Can I request the two officers to stand? So all of this day, we have been recognizing women of impact in 2023. And soldiers come in many forms. Soldiers come in uniforms. But women also fight battles in other spaces. Women fight battles in their own ways. And as we honor Major Abhilasha and Colonel Anila, I want to bring out the awards, of course. Can we bring them here? And I want to put our hands together for somebody who hasn't donned a uniform and gone to the war front, but in her own industry, she's been a soldier for change. And I thought nobody better than, any guesses? I thought nobody better than Vidya Balan, the soldier of the film industry, to come on stage. If we can have Miss Balan on stage, she should be out any moment now. Okay, we are waiting for her. I'm going to request you, we were listening to these two wonderful, inspiring soldiers, and before we talk to you, I called you out as a soldier of your industry, battling many different barriers and redefining the terms for women in the industry. So if I can request you to please honor Colonel Anila and Major Abhilasha with our Her Award before we get started and say a few words to them. Come, ma'am, Colonel. And if I can, okay, there you go. Let's hear it for these wonderful three women on stage. And that's Major Abhilasha. And can I request all three of you to come here? Come, Colonel, please, don't be, yeah. Can I just say that this is a wonderful moment because women in uniform with really one of the pioneers for change in the film industry, I don't think it gets better than this. Can we please have this hall resonate with the applause that we feel and the admiration that we feel for this moment. Thank you. Thank you, officers. Thank you. Thank you. Come. Anyway. Okay.